Hi and welcome to the Music Production Handbook. In this video I'm going to discuss EQ. EQ has been covered by many others as well, and I hope that in this video that it might provide a bit more understanding. And it's going to be a very short one. I'm just going to look at the parameters very quickly. Let's say these standard ones are found in Logic and Pro Tools, and they've all do a very similar job. And then you get your third-party ones like your Slate, Universal Audio, Waves, and they all provide a lot of emulations of classic EQs, whereby they're actually bound by certain parameters. That's down to components and stuff. Whereas in this Logic's own one, we can actually do a lot of things that are outside of what we can do with the emulated hardware. So the first thing to look at here is the low cut. And the low cut basically means I can cut off the low frequencies. And so there's my target frequency. And if I move that up, you will notice that I can go all the way up to 20 kilohertz. So this is where it becomes much more flexible than the emulations. We can do a lot more creative things that you wouldn't be able to do with those emulations. Now with that, if I set it at 100 hertz as a starting point, you then got this slope, which means that you can adjust how aggressive that cutoff is. So if I set it at 48 dB, that by the time we get to 50 hertz, because it's 48 dB per octave, so an octave is divisible by itself. So 100 hertz, if we went up an octave, it would be 200 hertz, and if we went up an octave from that, it would be 400. And likewise, if we went down, then 100, it would be down to 50, down to 25, 12.5, and so forth. And if it's 48 dB per octave, then by the time we get to 50 hertz, we've already cut off the level down to 48 dB. And if I then soften that, you can see it's the aggression. If I take that down to 12, by the time we get down to about 50 hertz, it's dropped by 12 dB. And then if I go down to 25 hertz, it's dropped down another 12 dB. This is really useful for clearing up any background mud and low-end hum, buzzes and things like that. So it also will stop the compressor from triggering early, because low frequencies have more energy. And that can sometimes cause the compressor to react when you don't want it to. Anyway, so there's the low cut. We've then got the low shelf here, and if I can lift that up, you can see then there's a boost, and this can boost or cut at a set frequency. Again, we can go all the way up to 20,000 hertz, 20 kilohertz, all the way down to 20 hertz. So again, we can do a lot of things outside of the norm. And this, again, is just to help the shape the low end, and it lifts that. So from that frequency there, if I put in 100 hertz, everything from 100 hertz and beneath gets raised by about 6 dB at this point, or I can cut it. And they will interlink with the low cut. If I bring that back down now, the blue is the resultant of those two elements together. If I boost it, you can see now I've got a 43 hertz cutoff and I've got a 100 hertz boost, so you can see that it's starting to take shape. I've then got 4 of these parametric EQs, or bell EQs, or sweepable. So they've got various names, and the reason being is that I can lift it up and it represents the shape of a bell. And in this one, again, I can cut or boost, so I can cut or boost, and you can then narrow down the frequency as well, so you can be much more precise, so you can eradicate any bad frequencies, or likewise you can then open it out, find where there's some good frequencies, and enhance. So you can just boost kind of the things to make it a bit brighter, and as I say, cut out any of the frequencies that are masking the sound that we want. So there's 4 of those, and that can be really versatile and used, and how we use them. We've then got high shelf, which basically does exactly the same as the low shelf, and with that we can boost or we can cut the higher frequencies and soften the top end, and we're then finally left with the high cut or low pass filter, because we're allowing the low frequencies to pass through, or we're cutting the high frequencies out. Again, it works exactly the same as the low cut in terms of how you can shape it. We've also got the analyzer here, so we've got a switch there. So analyzer will show me the frequency response. If it's set to post, it then shows me the changes that I've made to the incoming sound. So if I lift this up, then the analyzer will show and reflect that. If I make it pre, then basically whatever decisions I make with cutting or boosting, the analyzer would just stay and it will show me the original signal that's coming into it. Other things to be aware of as well is that you've got a bypass. The bypass is so important because it enables you to listen, make decisions as to what you've done, and you can then check and say, yeah, that's the sound pre-EQ, and that's the sound I've now done after EQ. And again, you can even do it within the individual bands themselves and turn them on and off. And that's the same for most DAWs. Pro Tools with their 7-band EQ is a very similar thing. The only difference on the Pro Tools one is that you've got an input. So if you've got too hot a signal coming in, you can attenuate that. And you've also got a output as well to make up if there's any loss or the signal's too low. In Logic, we've basically got an output. So if we need to raise it or lower it, depending on what we've done. Remember, when you're boosting or cutting, you are altering the gain stage as well. I will cover in another video about how to use the EQ, but for the time being, thank you for watching this video. I hope it's of some use. And in another video, I'll actually go through about using the EQs. But for now, just familiarise yourself with the EQ settings, play around with those different functions, and to really sort of understand what they're doing. And then in another video, check out about how to use EQs to improve your mixes and analyse what you're listening for. Anyway, sign up and like the Facebook page, check out the website for other videos and more blog content and stuff, and have a good time mixing. Cheers.